Hey, welcome everyone. In this video, I'm doing a review of the second generation Google Nest Hub. This is essentially a Google Assistant smart display, so don't get confused with an Android device as you cannot install apps on this device. This unit is pretty similar in appearance to the original version. It has a 7-inch screen with a resolution of 1024 by 600. That doesn't sound great, but given the small size and all those pixels packed in there, images are surprisingly crisp and clear with decent colors. You can customize the screensaver wallpaper using Google provided images from the internet, or use your own albums from your Google Photos account, making it like a digital photo frame. You can adjust the display settings to ambient mode so the display will adjust color and brightness based on the time of day and how much light is in the room during the daytime, or set your own settings. Regardless of your screen settings, at night, the display will dim and show the time in faint brightness, which is very easy on the eyes at night. The body is fairly compact, measuring at 7 by 4.7 by 2.7 inches, making it ideal for your night table or pretty much anywhere else in your home. At the top back is a switch to mute Google from listening to you. The volume rocker is also located at the back, although you could always tell Google what volume to set for Google responses, media playback, and alarm volume. For example, just say, set the volume to 6. The power cord is 5 feet long, which is pretty typical for a smart display. The Hub 2 comes in 4 colors: chalk white, charcoal black, mist blue, and sand beige. The color only changes on the base stand. The frame is always white. Google mentions that the enclosure is made of 54% recycled plastic. Google also mentions this unit has a faster processor than the first unit, but I don't notice anything dramatically changed. It's just a simple smart display with basic screen functions. It's not designed to run apps. General responsiveness is mediocre. You can navigate things fine, but I noticed the animation transitions stutter ever so slightly. It's nothing to ruin the experience, but it's odd considering Google says it's faster than the original version. To be honest though, I use voice commands most of the time and hardly touch the display. Google Assistant responses are usually pretty fast. The interface is broken down into sections: current highlights for time of day, wellness such as sleep information because there's sleep tracking, which I'll get into shortly, home control of smart home devices, media for YouTube and Spotify for example, communication for broadcasting making calls from the Hub 2, and Discover, which is a list of example commands for Google Assistant. One interesting thing you can do is cast content to the display. Services such as Netflix, Disney+, YouTube, and other services can be casted to this device. It might not be the best experience since the screen is small, but can work great for maybe watching a mindless Netflix show while washing the dishes, watching a cooking lesson video on YouTube, or other amazing YouTube channels. This device relies on internet connectivity to work. It does not have an Ethernet port and can only connect over Wi-Fi 5. I explained what Wi-Fi 5 is in another video. A link to that is in the video description. Included in this device is also Thread wireless technology, which is basically a low power consumption radio signal which is used for smart home products. The idea here is to have devices from Apple, Amazon, Google, and other services combined and able to communicate with one another without needing a bridge in the middle, like say IFTTT. It doesn't really work yet in this device, so it's extremely limited for now. The Hub 2 does also support Bluetooth technology, but I can't get anything connected to it, so I'm not sure if it's even active. Now let's go over Google's biggest advertised feature, sleep tracking. For starters, there are no cameras on this device, which I think is a good thing, especially if you plan to keep this in the bedroom for a better sense of privacy. Yes, I understand some smart displays can have a shutter for the camera, like I do with the Lenovo 8 display. A link to that is in the video description. But it's just an extra sense of security not having a camera at all if you're going to keep this in your bedroom. Google accomplishes sleep tracking entirely by using Sol-I sensors, a type of technology that originally debuted on the Pixel 4. In addition to the sensor are 3 far-field microphones. The Hub 2 will ask you to replicate your ideal sleep settings during configuration and use that sample to start measuring your sleep. It'll report how many times you coughed at night, snoring, and respiratory rate. It'll also detail when you fell asleep and when you woke up, including if you got up in the middle of the night. It's incredibly accurate considering it doesn't need a camera and you don't need to wear a fitness tracker or smartwatch on your wrist, so it makes your sleep as comfortable as possible. When you wake up, just simply say, "How did I sleep?" You'll then get a small report. This report is confusing though. The main screen shows you when you went to bed and when you woke up. That doesn't mean what time you actually fell asleep. For instance, sometimes I watch TV in my bed before sleeping. The main report counts that time though. Only after digging into more details do you actually see when you really fell asleep, not when you were in bed. This is a really odd interface designed by Google and could confuse a lot of people. The hub only shows the last 2 days of sleep history. For more in-depth details regarding your sleep and from a longer day history, you'll need to install the Google Fit app on your phone. For some reason, you have to view it there and not on the hub. Here you can view far greater details on your sleep habits. Now I've been testing this Hub 2 sleep tracking for almost 2 weeks. Some nights on my own, some nights while sleeping with my wife. And one of the weird things I can't seem to figure out is that it always knows when I'm asleep in bed and not my wife. It doesn't get us confused, which is amazing. One thing I can't confirm that when me and my wife are sleeping together and the Hub 2 is tracking my sleeping is, will it count her snoring and coughing at night or just me? The only way to confirm that is to hook up a camera at night and record us and then compare the results to the Hub 2, which I'm not going to do because that's really creepy. So just because I feel like it, let's just say that a lot of the snoring is also her being recorded by Google. Currently, Google mentions that the sleep tracking service is free for a year with the Hub 2, but there's no word on pricing after that. It seems as though they have plans to eventually include it with the Fitbit Premium pricing. That same sleep sensor allows for motion gestures for a couple of things. You can wave your hand to dismiss an alarm or play and pause music. It's surprisingly responsive and accurate. For example, you can use a smash gesture to play or pause music. I noticed these gestures work from a maximum of roughly 3 feet. For the alarm, you can choose various sounds or radio stations. Although getting radio stations is not easy, you have to work around with Google Routines. Which leads to my next point, you can tie it to Google Assistant Routines. Routines are similar to IFTTT. Basically, if you trigger a Google Assistant command, you can apply other automated steps to follow after. I have a link explaining what IFTTT, a link to that is in the video description. For example, a morning alarm routine can trigger after you dismiss the alarm. Then it'll turn on your lamp, perhaps adjust the smart thermostat temperature, and so on. As I showed earlier, you can also have the hub gradually increase the screen brightness for when your alarm starts. This device consumes 15 watts of power and does not have a backup battery. So if for some reason it loses power while the alarm is meant to wake you up, you're out of luck. If the device loses Wi-Fi, then it's practically useless as it relies on internet to operate. What's interesting is that it seems as though sleep tracking remains active, so maybe it stores the data internally until the internet is restored and syncs to the cloud. Since it's running Google Assistant, it's able to communicate with a tremendous amount of smart home products, including services such as IFTTT. Some example commands I use are,
Alright, turning on the computer lights.
tell me about my day.
Hi, Sook. The time is 12:35 p.m. Right now in Brampton,
Play some house music on Spotify. And one of my favorite features is the ability to broadcast a message to all Google Nest speakers and displays in my home. Broadcast.
What's the message?
I want some ice cream.
Okay, broadcasting now.
If you have a Nest doorbell, for example, you can command it to show the front door. The amount of examples I can provide just keep going on, as Google Assistant can accomplish many things. Speaker performance has improved by quite a bit from the original version. Google claims bass has improved by 50%. Whether it be listening to YouTube videos or music, overall you get a clearer sound with more punch, but not by a lot. Don't assume this is a killer speaker for music, it's just okay. Those that appreciate good audio for music might want to look elsewhere, but for a smart display, it does a decent job. Here's a sound sample at 100% volume from about 10 feet away. The sound gets a bit muffled and the bass is just okay. But in the defense of this speaker, you should never play any device at max volume in fear of ruining the speaker. One thing I find annoying in some smart speakers is that the lowest volume can be too loud at night when Google is responding. This unit can get truly quiet, including with the alarm. What is the weather today?
In Brampton today, it'll be rainy with a forecasted high of 12 and
This makes sense as Google advertises this for sleep tracking, so more people are likely to keep this at bedside compared to other smart displays. Having Google respond at a very low volume is great when sleeping with my wife. I don't want to wake her up. Lastly, you can also group other Nest smart speakers with this Hub 2 for greater sound output. It's nothing stellar, sound is still mediocre, and the sleep tracking is pretty awesome, but I don't know how long you would really need it for, but hey, it's there. Overall, it's still a great smart display that's priced pretty decently. It's compact, so you can pretty much put it anywhere in your home, whether it be a bedroom, kitchen, living room, family room, whatever, it's up to you. Google Assistant has always been pretty responsive on this device, which is great. So definitely worth checking out if you're interested in it. And that's pretty much a wrap from me. So if you found this video useful, be sure to check out my social links in the video description. Hit that like button, it does help, subscribe, and thanks for watching.